Greetings from my kitchen in Durrës, Albania. I'm going to walk you through a body scrub that I make in my kitchen with things from my kitchen. Nobody asked for this. I just really like self-care and I make things like this in my kitchen all the time. And because I'm under quarantine, I figured I'd make a video, because I'm a millennial, of how I put this together. It's really easy. It takes 5 minutes. You already probably have most of this hanging out in your kitchen. So I'm just going to walk you through some of the basic things you probably already have in your house that you can make this scrub with. So the first thing you're going to need is a jar. What I have here is just an old paprika jar that I cleaned out. Reduce, reuse, recycle. Very important. We're going to be using this immediately. A carrier oil. So this is like a thick base oil that you can use. My carrier oil today is flaxseed oil because it's really nourishing and good for the skin, and it was what we had at the store. So other oils I'd suggest are grapeseed oil, which is usually my go-to and my favorite. Olive oil, you might have that around the house. Corn oil can even be good here. It's a little bit thin. Just avoid things like palm oil or actual butter. I'd also avoid coconut oil just because it'll solidify at room temperature, so it's not the best base oil for a scrub. Next, you might want some honey. Right here I have some local honey. This is optional, but I really like it because it's antimicrobial and really nourishing for the skin. And I have some Himalayan rock salt. I like to use salt because I have combination skin, and through process of elimination and trial and error, I've discovered that salt is my favorite emollient of choice. So I would also suggest sugar if you have really sensitive skin, and coffee if you want a little wake up. And of course, this scrub could be used on your face or on your body. So think of all of your skin types when you make this decision. And then I have some essential oils. I'll get back to this in a second, but these are a couple of my favorites. I have geranium, amazing for the skin. Lavender, just my go-to, nice and relaxing. And rose, which is also fantastic for the skin. It's also like a nice florally spring scent because we're approaching that here in Durrës, Albania. And then stirring objects. You could use a metal drinking straw or a spoon, whatever you have. I just like a scooper and a swirler. And last but not least, I have a crystal, and we'll go back to this, always including a pet rock. So now we're just gonna put all these together. Open the jar, make sure it's clean. First thing you wanna put in is your salt, your sugar, your coffee. Again, sugar is great for sensitive skin. I have the sands of time pouring out of my hands. No, but I have a combination skin, so I find that the grain size is really great with most rock salts. And like I said, just pink rock salt's adorable. Now that we have our salt, we're gonna add some honey. Again, I have just regular old, from the grocery store, local honey. Try to make sure that you're actually getting a honey product. In most places, like, real honey is pretty expensive, and if it's coming out of a bear and has sugar and palm oil as listed ingredients, that's not the best honey for you. I mean, support local farmers. There's always local bee places, health food stores. Invest in your honey. So I put about, I would say, 3 tablespoons, just enough to coat the top. You can see that here, that all of the top was coated. If you have a smaller jar, just make sure more of it's coated. The next thing we're gonna put in is the essential oils. So I'm gonna start with rose. It's great. It just smells like springtime and good memories for me anyway. So I'm gonna put about 5 drops. As you can see, I'm a little laissez-faire with it because it doesn't matter that much. Another 5 drops of geranium, and just let it sit in the salt or your emollients of choice. And then my go-to all the time in everything I own is lavender because it's my favorite smell. And another 5 drops or so of that. And then the next is the carrier oil. So like I said, I'm using flaxseed. I highly recommend grapeseed oil. It's actually my favorite. If there was grapeseed oil at the store, I would have used that, but there wasn't, so I'm doing this. So again, for the oil, you want it to be almost 50-50. It looks really beautiful and it kind of looks really fun here. But from the rest of the top, put another half in. So if you can see here, I have a thin layer. I would say that I probably put about 50 milliliters, 70 milliliters. There you go. And then my favorite part, stir. Once you start stirring for a little bit, you'll notice it's gonna get really thick, or it's really thin. If it's really thin, add more salt or your ingredient of choice for your scrub. And then for mine, as you can see, it's pretty thick. I wanna make it a little bit smoother. So I'm gonna add more oil and check the bottom so that you can see, like you can see a little buildup of the salt in there. So that's why it's really nice to use something where you can dig in a little bit and get to the bottom, make sure everything is really blended. It smells so good. And like I said, a little bit relaxing. Like it feels good to be doing something. And I know that it's like, this is gonna be great for my skin and my facials, and just, it's like something nurturing and lovely during quarantine time. For the jar that I did and the amount of salt that I put in, I've started to hit the point where I feel really good about the ratio. So as you can see, it still has a little bit of that wonderful scrub viscosity, but it also has like a very thin layer of the oil that's coming up. That's great. That's exactly where you want it to be, because the oil is going to dissipate and everything will settle and it will get all infused. So once you've got it to that point and it looks like this, you're in good shape. So the last thing I want to add is a stone. I love gemstones. I love their energy. This is moonstone. I love moonstone. It's a stone of clarity, a stone of dreams, a stone of deep thoughts and protection. So I'm going to give it a little polish by adding it to my scrub. So the stone can infuse the scrub with its energy, and at the same time it gets nice and polished and cleansed by being buried in the salt. So everybody wins. So now we have a great scrub that you can use during quarantine. It's great for the face, it's great for the body, the lips. You can use it every day. It is a scrub though, so I would recommend if you have more sensitive skin or if you're just starting out, maybe use it twice a week. Yeah, healthy, enjoy. Let me know if you make one.